Good evening. We are here with an impromptu show, 10th Talks, or whatever you like to call it. I don't think we've got a good name for it yet. We might have
No.
to do some workshopping on that one. But we are here because there have been some reveals from the Game Workshop. They've come down from on high. They've blessed us with official data sheets. Some of them I think we've seen already. A lot of them we've seen people talk about, but it's nice to actually have them in front of us and we can see things as they were. And we're just going to, without, much further ado, because we've both got things to do this evening, we're just going to whiz through and talk about all of them. So
Absolutely.
I believe, Tom, we wanted to start with Space Marines because
Yes.
they're on my screen.
They're the Golden Boys. They're what
They
it's all
are.
about. They're what you came here for. So we'll start with them, and I think our thinking with this was I'm going to read down and sort of summarise what the Marines have. Ed's going to do a bit of reacting for you all, and then we're going to do the reverse with Tyranids. So here we go. First up, we have a very sexy model. We have the Captain in Terminator armour. He is a leader, and he can plug into Relic Terminators, Terminator Assault Squad, or Terminator Squad, so that makes sense. And what does he give you? He gives you the ability to target a unit for free with a stratagem. It's his unit, obviously, even if another unit has already used it in that phase. So that's a really nice, powerful ability to have. His unit gains reroll charges, which is also extremely nice to have on slow-moving Terminators. And then he's got grenades. He's got, with a relic shield, he can have a wounds character to give 7. T5, 6 wounds, objective control 1, 2 up save, 5-inch move on the Terminators. And then you've got a nice range of options for him. So you can give him the combi weapon, which is anti-infantry, 4-up, devastating wounds, rapid fire 1. Stormbolter, rapid fire 2, with lots of strength 4. And then melee-wise, he can go for a chain fist, which is anti-vehicle, so wounding vehicles on 3-ups, strength 8, AP2, damage 2, or power fist, which is just straight up strength 8, AP2, damage 2, more accurate. The chain fist hits on 3s, this hits on 2s. Relic weapon, more attack, strength 5, AP2, damage 2. Thunder hammer, which is devastating wounds, again hitting on 3, strength 8, AP2, and damage 2 only on the thunder hammer. And then twin lightning claws, which is even more attacks with twin linked for that reroll wounds. What do you reckon, Ed?
I think there's a lot of stuff that's interesting on there. Obviously, we've seen this data sheet already. Rites of Battle is obviously the huge one because there's going to be a lot less CP in this edition. I'm aware that my screen is covering up my face. Hold on, no, that's not fixed it. I think that'll do. That'll do, pig. Anyway, so that's going to be really nice. Obviously, we've seen all of the strats come out for the core rulebook. There's a few of them that cost 1. There's a few of them that cost 2. If you're getting 2 CP a turn, being able to do something for free on there is good. Reroll charges, as you said, always just nice to have, especially if you're coming out of Deep Strike.
Yeah.
This is not an edition you want to be spending CP to reroll your charges.
No.
I think the most interesting thing on there is the Relic Shield. Obviously, the implication there is that Assault Terminators will be going to 4 wounds because they've already got a 4-up invuln.
Yeah.
So that's going to be
tough, tanky boys. Yeah, and I think that stratagem stacking looks like, I mean, that's a relatively new thing, but it looks like something that we're going to be seeing more of. And I think it's, I mean, if you get those chain combos of different things you want in your army and on your particular list going off, I think it's massively powerful. So that's a really nice thing for him to have. He's a very powerful looking dude, still very strong and tanky. So him down the end of a unit is no joke, and he'll amp up Terminators very nicely, I reckon.
Yeah, the weapons as well are just quite reassuring to see. Obviously, like I say again, we've seen them already, but you look at it, you're like, oh, okay. So there's no damage 3. There's damage 2 in the Thunder Hammer. Yes, there is devastating wounds with access to reroll wounds from their Oath of Moment, but in general, it looks like outside of maybe their big hit a certain target, Marines might be a bit more limp-fisted than they are at the moment, which is a good thing. So they can surgically precision strike something. And then, everything else, they're just kind of plinky away at while they deal with the main target.
Yeah, it feels like more of a slog in combat than just absolutely going through things, right? And the AP creep that we'd seen in 9th has definitely been toned down, so I think that's
Absolutely.
Good. Hello, everybody in the chat. We've got Swissley, Aaron, Gelmaris, LAJ57. Hi, everyone. You're very welcome. It's nice to have you here for this impromptu gathering.
It's nice that we've got so few people here at the start that we can read out all the names.
Yeah. That's
Perfect.
That's it.
Yeah, I was going to say, as someone who's not really planning on playing Marines, it's nice to see them toned down a little bit in terms of their raw stats. So
Mm.
I'm pleased with that. Although I'm sure there'll be some spicy stuff in there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, next up, we've got the sexiest looking model of the new box.
It
He's
is
very
incredible.
cool. The Librarian in Terminator armor. Beautiful model. So, obviously, Psychers are now in a slightly different niche where what they have on the sheet is what you get. You can't be giving them additional powers, that kind of thing. So, this fella brings Psychic Hood, so the unit that he is leading, and he again can, I believe, wander around with all the different Terminator flavors. Yes, he can, and he can give them a 4-up Feel No Pain specifically against psychic attacks. So maybe a little meta dependent, but obviously massive on a Terminator brick in the right context. 4-up Feel No Pain against all those mortals is huge, and all that shooting as well. So he also gives, with Veil of Time, he gives exploding sixes to hit, sustained hits 1 as it's now known, to his unit on all weapons, so that's shooting and melee. So that's not insignificant on sort of weight of fire and weight of attacks on a large squad. And then weapons-wise, he's got access to the combi weapon and the Stormbolt. Force weapon is 4 attacks, psychic, strength 6, AP1, damage D3. And he's also got a couple of smite options, so it's Witchfire. So you can either sort of go for a bigger smite, which is hazardous, so it's the risk of damage to you, but that gives you devastating wounds. And then you've also got so D6 attacks on each of those, 3-ups, 5, AP1, D3, or 6, AP2, D3. So actual psychic damage output is a bit mild. But I think, that's him. I think he looks okay. I think he's more of a flavorful situational pick. What do you think, Ed?
Yeah, I'm pretty underwhelmed by Psychic in general. We haven't seen all of the bits yet, but there's a lot of points of failure on that smite. You've got to roll a number of attacks, then you've got to roll to hit, then you've got to roll to wound, and it's only on a 6 that it does the mortal wounds. So if they don't do a mortal wounds, your opponent gets a save. Then you've got a random damage. It's fine. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It feels like they're going to be playing in a different way, so you're not really bringing it to smite your opponent. Which, to be fair, with a Space Marine Terminator Captain Librarian, it's never really what you brought them for anyway.
No, exactly. And so this is one to keep, and then when you play your mate that runs Thousand Suns, you just plug him in your 10 Terminators and shove him in front of him.
Are you saying that we should tailor list? How dare you?
I'd never genuinely advocate that, but that is what you could do if that's what you wanted to do.
If you didn't have this line here against psychic attacks, if it was just feel no pain against mortal,
Oh, it'd be amazing.
Oh, cracked out the arse. It would be so good. But it's not that. But never mind. We don't have to worry about mortal wounds. This is everything's fine.
It's all going to be fine. There's no
don't
concern.
Panic.
No concern
fine.
about mortal wounds. We're going to be just fine. And then
it's all right. We might be talking about that later on in the week or earlier next
quite
week.
Possibly. Yeah, should be just fine.
Everything's fine. So that's the back of the sheet there, and it is quite nice to actually see the back of the sheet on these units that we haven't seen.
Yeah, and I really like the leader dynamic. I like that different characters have different things that they can go with. I think it's going to be really fun. It's going to be interesting working out how many characters is an appropriate amount, but it does feel like you're quite incentivized to take a few characters.
One in every squad, and you can't stop me.
Okay, Infernus squad up next. So barbecue boys. So we've got. Flamers everywhere. Big old 12-inch ignore cover torrent flamers, strength 5, damage 1. So put out a lot of flamer attacks. Fairly middling in all other respects. But they have a nice little gimmick in Purge the Foe. So if they've shot an infantry unit, they can force a battle shock test. So, and this only happens in your shooting phase, so you can't Overwatch and force Battle Shot, but obviously these do feel like a nice candidate for Overwatch. Battle Shot, we're going to have to wait and see how impactful it is, but obviously it's always worth keeping note of places in the book where you can provoke that, just in case that does prove to be absolutely vital in the tussle for the middle, as it were.
This, to me, feels even more meta-dependent than the Librarian.
Hugely so.
Because, there's always going to be some Psychers flying around. Even though it might not be super Psycho heavy, there's always going to be some. And he brings other stuff. This is, if there's going to be hordes with low armor saves, and if there's armies that are really going to suffer from battle shock, if you've got both of those things, I think this unit's going to be really good. Outside of that, I'm going to be taking 3-up saves against it. I'm not too concerned. If I can tag some cover, we'll see. But
I think they're nailed down to a very specific niche, and I don't know that it's a niche Marines ever really struggle with. I feel like a Marine army always just has so much incidental, low quality shooting that it will just pick up chaff anyway.
That's a fair point.
A lot of the units you could take that on probably more effective. I mean, like again, I think like Flamer Aggressors or something. I'd rather have them than this because then at least you can punch stuff as well, right?
So it's the morale, I think, that's really their niche.
Yeah,
so
it's just whether the battle shot becomes a big deal. I think if it does, then maybe there's an interesting spot for them.
I think it well could. It looks impactful, but it's so different from everything we've played. It's hard to say without actually getting some games in.
They certainly look nice. I like the very big, long flamers.
They look fantastic. Yeah,
it's another cool box set of Marine stuff.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. There's more of that coming. They've announced today.
Oh, good.
If you buy the box set, you'll get a code. Plug that code in. You can choose whether you're Tyranids or Space Marines or some guff. I half read it. And the winner of that gets all of their new models revealed up front, and the other army's going to have to wait. But
that's fun.
Yeah, there's going to be something like a grand's worth of Marines and Nids revealed over the next, in 2023. Doing some quick math from what they said, so
that's
a lot of
delightful.
stuff. I think that includes like the codex and the starter box and yada yada. But
no, it's exciting, very exciting.
Cool. Oh, we didn't talk about the keywords. They've got grenades.
Yeah, they've got grenades.
We weren't expecting that.
Do that. Spend your 1 CP on that grenade strat. Yeah. I feel like every now and again that'll come in, but
it looks way more impactful than grenades.
Oh, it definitely does. Yeah, it definitely does.
I've slight sidebar. I've always been really jealous of players who remember to throw their grenades.
Yeah. God, when you play an elf player that remembers grenades, you're like, oh, you're a different level to me, man.
Oh shit, you've killed like a model in the shooting phase. I was not expecting this.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny.
We can skip this one, right?
I don't think you're going to see Sternguard anywhere. They don't look especially relevant to me. So a couple of things to say on Sternguard. One, it's lovely that they've been scaled up because that was a beautiful kit, and it was sad seeing them all tiny next to their new brother. So it's nice to see Sternguard elevated and see this new theme of old units getting glow ups for Marines. I think that's really promising. So Sternguard give you a few things. You've got a bunch of devastating wound options on here. So you've got combi weapons, anti-infantry 4-up, devastating wounds, rapid fire 1. So less shots, some in close range. Sternguard bolt pistol gets devastating wounds. Sternguard bolt rifle is assault, devastating wounds, heavy, and rapid fire 1. So more shots here, longer range, and a pip of AP, but not the 4-up mortal wounding against infantry. And then there's a heavy bolter, which gets exploding 6s now, which is nice on a sort of mid-range sort of shot kind of gun like that. That's good fun. Ballistic skill 4 on that, and indeed on the combi weapon, actually. That's interesting. I hadn't spotted that. So that makes a bit of a difference to them in terms of their accuracy. And then close combat, again, very middling, but lots of attack, so they'll batter elves and other fragile things that they get into. But the fun twist on this is that with Bolter Drill, their ability in the shooting phase, if they destroy an enemy unit with their shooting, they get to shoot again. So every now and again, these are just going to light up a bunch of chaff, and it's going to be really funny.
And that is a once per battle ability.
Once per battle, that's right.
But realistically, you weren't going to get it off twice anyway.
No, exactly that. I mean, they're not tough. Once they are out and about, you'd imagine they're in danger, but the potential to like double tap some stuff means that you're more likely to get value out of them. So yeah, these are pretty scary, right, Ed?
Obviously they're great. I have points on this, which is like I don't really understand. They've put devastating wounds on every ranged weapon. Okay, cool. Why not just make that a rule at the side? Look at all this blank space here.
Yeah.
And then look at all of this really crowded keywords. I don't get it. That's a nickel. I don't care. Maybe the kit is going to have more weapons options, and they're like, oh, we don't want to have devastating wounds, missile launchers, for something like that. Maybe that's something that comes down the line, and it's just future-proofing the kit. Because obviously these are the monopose ones, and if they do a multi-part, then there might be more options. And rapid fire 1 on a 2-shot gun. I'm a huge fan of that. Look at that design space that they've opened up. This is nothing about the strength of it. You just look at it like, oh, this is fantastic. Look at the fun thing they've done. They've just made the rule. They've gone, you can have 2 shots here or 3 shots. It's great. Big fan.
No, it's definitely nice, and I think they look like they're gonna again with the design space. sort of altered it to. These have a very specific niche. There's only a certain set of things they're going to reliably do lots of damage to, but with mortal wounds they can chip in on getting rid of pretty much anything if you need it, which I think is kind of how they've set Marines up to be. Right, the army is going to hose down
Yeah.
big targets as a team.
Fortunately, they're OC1, because if they were OC2, I could see you running them as your like battle line equivalent. Obviously, they don't have battle line, but they could just be like your 3 squads of, you know, troops that everyone took because they were cheap and they did stuff.
Yeah, I do think we'll see a lot of this.
I think so as well, but I think
Yeah.
we'd have seen even more spam if they had OC2 and they could actually threaten to hold objectives.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we were talking about which weapon we thought was better. Has your opinion changed from the combi weapon now that you've realised it hits on a 4+?
That does definitely alter it.
Yeah.
I think it depends a bit on buffs and rerolls.
Sure.
I think I do really like anti-infantry 4-up. I think it's quite matchup dependent, but being able to just absolutely dunk low wound but expensive units with mortal wounds feels extremely fun on a unit that could potentially do it twice. But as you were saying in our backroom discussion, the consistency and the reach with the other gun is pretty nice. As is the AP.
Thing. Yeah. It has 4 keywords, and I'm a sucker for some keywords. You've given me 4.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's good. That's great.
Assault is also really nice, and again,
It really is, yeah.
with Marines, where you can have a turn where you're advancing, charging, etc., they might suddenly just pop out and shoot a thing, batter a thing, whatever else. That's good fun.
This kind of feels how Marines should be in the fluff. So you've got a unit that kind of can shoot everything. It's good at long range. It's good if it's stationary. You know, you get a buff for standing still and aiming. You can run and gun. You can just it just feels
it's
like
flexible, isn't it?
Yeah. This is like what a Marine should be without going all the way up to the movie Marines that I remember from like 5th edition, where it was a 2,000 point list for 10 models. That was they had some pretty ridiculous stats. But back to 10th edition, all looking good. Any keywords on here?
Grenades again.
It's a big one. I'm really glad you pointed that out.
Tacticus. What's Tacticus?
I don't know. Is this? Oh, this says Tacticus.
The Infernus squad also have it.
I think Tacticus is just the normal T4 2-up save.
Okay.
Primaris or
yeah. Got you. Okay, nice.
And then obviously there's Gravis and Terminator.
Sweet.
Look at us with context clues.
So good.
Now here's the Dreadnought that skipped leg day. This model makes me sad. But
the ballistas. So I mean, this is the successor to the proper original shooty Dreadnought, isn't it? So
I had one of them.
Interesting. This is quite promising. It's T10, 12 wounds, 2-up save on it now, which in a lower AP world is a big deal, right?
It is actually.
It's going to save a lot of shooting much more effectively. Objective control 4 is nice. You're not going to have this. You're not going to have this failing to kill like one rack and then not getting the objective off it, which is probably the right way for things to be. It's got the ballistas missile launcher, so either 2d6 blast frag, strength 5 on that, which is nice, or crack. And crack missiles are coming in at strength 10, AP2, damage d6. So a lot of vehicles they're going to wound on 3s, but they'll struggle into some of the harder ones. Ballistas las cannon is where the real anti-tank money is at, so strength 12, AP3, damage d6 plus 1. And it's also got rapid fire twin link storm bolter as well. Armored feet are stompy, so 5 attacks, weapon skill 3 up, strength 7, AP nothing, damage 1. So it will certainly tread on some little things, but for a dreadnought, not the most inspiring in terms of its combat. And so to get the efficiency out of this has got Ballistic Strike, which means every time it's attacking something that's not below half strength, you can re-roll your hit rolls. So that's quite nice. Obviously, we know Marines are going to be really good at getting their rerolls into one target, but you might want to kill more than one thing in a turn, and it's quite nice to have some rerolls in other places. And this feels like, with the guns it's got, this feels like sort of a first candidate to step up and try and take down a hard target. So it's good that if it's targeting something that's not yet been damaged, it's going to be getting those hits through.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Gilliman lets you. That's the second source of rerolls. But once you've killed 2 units,
good old Gilliman.
Good old Gilliman. Yeah, I think it's a really solid set of rules. You probably want to fire it at a vehicle or a tough target before they start taking too much damage. There will be times when you're trying to finish it off because it's limping along and you didn't kill it last turn. Yada yada.
Yeah.
But it feels like a lot of the time you're going to get the special rule, but it still feels kind of flavorful. It's got that sort of marine alpha strikey
Yeah.
fluff perspective while not making that feel bad.
Yeah.
I am fuming about this T10, by the way, but we'll talk about that when we
T10.
get to the NIDs.
Okay, that's fair.
But
It's interesting. It's not got -1 damage, right? That doesn't seem to be here.
I thought that was gone. I thought that
Yeah.
had died, and then we saw the Avatar's data sheet. and
Yeah, I
it's
was going to
got
say there's
half damage.
definitely a bit of damage reduction out there still, but yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be on the big marine vehicles. Probably a relief given that they're harder to wound as it is.
Absolutely, yeah. Galmaris does say they're great up until you see the Avatar running at you. We all
Everything's
think
great
Avatar's
till it
nice.
sees the Avatar running at it, and then
I'm very much looking forward
no
to
longer.
using it.
The Avatar's sick.
Oh yeah, it looks so good.
With his D3 exploding hit sword.
It's fine. It's really hard for Eldar to get sixes to hits consistently.
Yeah, that's it. Oh god.
I'm
that'll be fun.
I'm gonna get revenge on all those motherfuckers who brought Jeff the Dester, and they
Yeah.
rolled 2 6s and they made 1 a 6, and they're like, "Here's your 27 hits." I'm
Oh,
looking
Jeff's so
forward to that.
good. I love Jeff.
He is, and I'm a little sad that I never got to use him. That's why I'm so mad at him. It's 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 a bit of FOMO. Lovely stuff. So no keywords on there. No grenades on this one. Interesting.
Yeah, the Dreadnought's not chucking a grenade at you.
No,
So that's probably for the best. So another classic, we got Terminators. So obviously people have seen this sheet already, but we know we've got Teleport Homer, so you can pop a token down and you can rapid ingress for free down onto it. And obviously rapid ingress, super, super nice. Being able to drop a unit down in your opponent's turn, ready to get started moving, shooting, fighting in your turn. So that's extremely powerful, and it makes the threat of Terminators pushing on a defensive position much, much higher than it currently is. Because obviously the issue they've always had is they drop down, and if they don't make the 9 charge, they're stuck. And otherwise they're wandering around on foot and a bit too easy to play around. So I think this makes them quite hard to deal with, and people are definitely going to think very carefully. Otherwise, the opponent's going to be dropping stuff down on them in places they don't want it. And then Fury of the First is very nice, so you can ignore ballistic weapon skill modifiers when you're attacking something. And if you're attacking your Oaths of Moment target, you get +1 to hit. And these are already pretty accurate, so that is extremely nice. 4 up invuln save on the Terminators, and these are not Storm Shield Terminators, so they don't have the extra wound. But 4 up invuln even on your basic Terminators is very good. Very, very good. Very durable, right? You can't be
Especially with
pushing them to their
D5.
5 up. Yeah, exactly. That's it. These are not easy to shift, which was always one of the issues with the non-Storm Shield Terminators. So I think these look very nice. Assault Cannon, 6 shots, devastating wounds. So again, combos super well with rerolls. Cyclone Missile Launcher, Paul James's favourite ever weapon. 2 attacks, strength 9, AP2 damage D6 on the crack. So nothing too special. But frag gives you 2d6 blast, strength 4, so it's a flexible gun, and it's not quite the master of either role, but it's reliable. Heavy Flamer ignores cover and torrent, and then Storm Bolter's a rapid fire too, so yeah, much the same in that sense, not massively different. Then it's the same here with the Chain Fists for anti-vehicle 3 up, but less accurate. Power Fists more accurate, but not wounding vehicles more easily. And then the Power Weapon.
On
is a
the
bit,
model that you
yeah,
pull first.
the
as
power weapon is a
always.
bit underwhelming. 5 strength, AP2 damage 1, extra
Bit of
attack.
context for anyone who hasn't been playing forever. But back in the day, you used to be able to challenge models out of units, kind of similar to the precision strat that we've got at the moment. But you could basically make a challenge, and you'd pull your and your model out of combat, and you'd both make your attacks. And the reason the power fist, the power sword was good, is because it attacked at initiative, whereas a power fist used to hit at initiative 1, which basically was sort of like fight last in the old rules. So having a power sword in the old days, not too bad when everyone had 1 wound, or most people had 1 wound. And having a sergeant who could just punk a character who tried to get them wasn't the end of the world. But yeah, it's definitely a vestige that looks cool, but you definitely pull him
looks
first.
amazing, but he's less effective in every conceivable
But now
way.
you can pull him because the leadership isn't tied to him, so that's really
That's
nice.
true. Yeah, that is nice. He can take one for
Sergeant,
the team.
You are there to die first, and that is
Yeah,
great.
and he'll do that well. I don't doubt it.
Yeah. That Fury
Brilliant.
of the First, I think this is really going to be good for
Yeah.
melee, because I'm not super worried about any of their shooting. I mean,
No.
sure, putting some pop shots out will be nice, but having the Chain Fist and, if we just extrapolate out, having the Thunder Hammer hitting on 3s on the
Yeah.
Assault Terminators, that's going to be quite nice.
Yeah, it's definitely nice.
The good thunder hammers in this edition have been in ninth are the ones that either hit on threes or twos sometimes, or the ones that have exploding sixes, or a
Absolutely.
combination of the two.
Yeah,
Spacewolf
yeah,
would like
yeah,
to know your location.
yeah,
They know my location. Fuck me. It's
yeah.
they have buried me. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so that's going to be really nice. I think more for the melee than anything else, because otherwise
Yeah,
there's going to be a
definitely.
lot
I
of
think you want to drop these down. They've got some chaff clearance, but mostly they're just going to wade onto an objective and start whacking things until they're got rid of. And it doesn't look easy to do that. So yeah,
OC1 though.
Terminators feel like they got their place. Yeah, OC1. They'll have to
I wonder if there'll
kill their way
be
onto it.
a way of buffing that with a character, perhaps like a
Yeah,
banner
that
bearer,
feels like something
an
that
ancient.
Marines would have. Yeah, that does feel
Yeah,
like something Marines would have.
I wonder if you can put an ancient in a squad that gives you +1. Because obviously we saw the Deathwing Terminators. They've got +1 to their OC with a banner. I think that was one of the ones that they showed off on stream at some point. But yeah, so that is the Terminators there. As we can see, it's a standard 1/5. Get a heavy weapon there.
Yeah.
And we did see on the Dark Angels one as well that you can't have a Thunderhammer and a Stormbolter. So sorry to everyone who modelled that this edition.
No,
You probably
exactly.
shouldn't have been able to anyway. But
Yeah, silliness.
again, just salty that I wasn't the one doing it. So back to you.
So we've got our first lieutenant of the edition. How exciting! And
The only,
he's
I'm
he's
assuming.
literally called Lieutenant with Combi Weapon, which I think doesn't really do this particular model justice because I look at that and that's the last thing I think.
Yeah.
He's a sort of tyrannic, war vetty looking lieutenant. He looks really cool. Got kited on his shoulder pad. Lots of fun being had here. He's probably the most sort of lore themed unit for the Marines in this box, which is really fun. So
He has a
what's he
third
got?
knife on the base as well.
He's
I
got
believe.
knives all over. He's a stabby boy. And he does get paired combat blades, which is specifically anti-Tyranids 4-up. Ouch. Ouch. Sustain hits 1, so exploding 6s, and he's got 5 attacks with that. Weapon skill 2, strength 4, damaged 1. So he's alright at fighting Nids.
That was a lot scarier before you got to the AP01 damage.
Yeah, but you can see him just like nicking the last wound off a big monster during a starter box game now because he's anti-Tyranids 4-up, and that'll be funny. And he's got anti-infantry combi weapons, so it's the same sort of profile as we've already seen. And then he's got a nice suite of abilities. So he's got Feel No Pain 5-up. He can infiltrate. He's got stealth, so he's -1 to hit, and he's a lone operative, so he hangs out on his own. This fellow doesn't join other units. And his abilities are priority objective identified. So at the start of the battle round, you can pick an objective to be the priority objective. And when an objective started unit is within 6 of this model, each time they're attacking someone who's on the priority objective, they can reroll a wound roll of 1. So a sort of more specialised lieutenant reroll there. And then he's got evade and survive. So they really want their lieutenants to stay alive because, as we know, GW values lieutenants more than anything else in the game. And in order to bring that about, if the enemy comes within 9 of him once per turn, he can move away. He can just do a runner, which is extremely funny. Not going to punk their lieutenant no matter how hard you try. Those assassinate points just going to keep skipping away from you.
Which is going to be incredibly frustrating, especially if you're playing with the you draw the cards. If you're playing the pick them each turn, and then you're like, oh cool, I can kill him, and then
kill a character, and you're like, nope, he's skedaddling. Yeah, exactly that.
He is skedaddling.
A real pest.
Absolutely. He's interesting. He's in terms of competitive play. I don't think he has.
I don't see it. No, I don't see it. No.
But he's cool.
He looks awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting that he doesn't join units because I feel like that's kind of, lieutenants I would have pegged to be like a second fiddle in a unit and join with another character.
He's very much like a Sly Marbo character, but I guess there isn't a rank for Space Marines because they're a little more constrained. You could have maybe made him like a scout sergeant like Teclis. Who's been dead for a while.
I think Sly Marbo is right. He's a sort of Sly Marbo. If you need a guy to come along and put about 3 no AP wounds on a Tyranid,
when I write my list, that's what I look for.
This is your guy. Sometimes that's just what you need, and evidently, Lieutenant with combi weapon is here to provide.
Yeah, and sometimes it's fine. He's just a cool model, and as you can see from the 4 grenades on his chest, he does indeed have the grenade keyword. For those of you keeping track from home, lovely stuff. So there is one last data sheet here, who is quite a spicy one, I think.
Yeah, I like this one. I don't know. again, we're in the realms of potentially not hyper competitive, but there's some fun stuff here, I think. And also, this is another super cool model because this is essentially a Gravis apothecary, but an apothecary biologist. And his whole deal is that I think he's sort of collecting matter and conducting experiments and tests and stuff during the battle, which obviously during the Tyrannic Wars makes a lot of sense. Be gathering data and information on the enemy. So he's not.
Bile.
Yeah, he is. It's actually very chaosy or GSC-ish. This is why I quite like this guy. It's a little bit on the edge of studying the enemy, which doesn't feel very Space Marines to me. You should just be burning it all and saying we don't want anything to do with that. But this guy's taking samples. So he feels like a really fun character. But it'd be really fun to run one of these in Crusade, not going to lie, because he feels super thematic for different missions and stuff like that. But so he's actually got some cool stuff going on. So he's a leader, so he can go in a squad, and he can go in aggressors, eradicators, or heavy intercessors. And his abilities, I think, lean you towards probably aggressors more than any of the others. And that's because he can give you lethal hits, and that goes for shooting and combat, which is extremely nice to his unit. But also with Vivispectrum, if this model's unit destroys an enemy unit in melee, he gains objective control 9, Ed.
That is pretty wild.
Which is a lot of objective control.
See, that might actually tip him into.
I think that does it.
Good.
I mean, obviously we're not seeing points, but I think if he's reasonably pointed, I think him in a big slab of aggressors feels extremely relevant because he amps up their output. They feel like the unit that's most likely to go and kill something on an objective. And then suddenly you've got objective control 9. So yeah, he's really, really cool. You have to say that his abilities, I don't know. I guess maybe they've found something, they've destroyed something, found something important on the battlefield, and then he's like, right, we've got to hold this now. So he becomes all the more determined to do so. Sure. His actual weapons and close combat are negligible, but that objective play is really interesting.
So disappointing because the model's carrying the big suitcase, with matter in, and just give him like a bludgeoning. Hit a motherfucker with another motherfucker sort of type deal. Like, look at that. It's huge. You're trying to tell me that wouldn't do some damage if he swung it at you. Oh, but it's valuable, and I've got to protect it with my OC9. Shut up. Get hit in the face by a big vat.
Absolutely. No, yeah. I think he's definitely good. And yeah, I would hope to see him out because I think again, I really like a bunch of the models in this kit, and I think he looks a lot of fun.
He doesn't have grenades though.
No grenades. As soon as he's dead to us, fuck him. Put him in the bin.
Yeah,
take it all back. We want grenade spam is the build Ed and I have been working on.
Absolutely.
It's a grenade spam list, just chaining grenades, using the stratagem as many times as we can. We'll tell you the secrets another time.
Absolutely.
But that's me. It's time now for Ed to take us through the Tyranids.
So just before we dive into them very quickly, I will say I think the matchup in the box is pretty unbalanced, and I think if you use these models against the Space Marines, you might not feel like the Nids have a great showing. But I think there's some really exciting stuff in here that just isn't necessarily lined up well with the way they've got. But it's cool because they got those cool new models, and I don't play 750 point games or whatever you get in the box, so that's not really a concern for me.
Also, it's just important that little kids the world over can go into a Games Workshop store and absolutely demolish someone running a Xenos faction, because I think that's how so many kids fall in love with the game.
Yeah.
And then they get older, and eventually the Xenos factions get them back. But the
younger brother has
work
to
on
play
that.
the Rippers.
Exactly that. This is the little brother's portion of the box. We all know it.
Growing up, I used to play all of the. I played High Elves. My brother got the Skaven from Fantasy.
Yeah.
I played Space Marines. He got the Orcs. And what does he play now? He's been playing Custodes and Deathwatch.
Finally free to play what he wants.
I've been playing Tau. I've been playing Nids. I have played some Custodes recently, but yeah.
I was always going for the weird underdogs. I got the Moria goblins in the Lord of the Rings box. My little brother had the elves, and I've never looked back. I like the weird faction in every box set. That's always what I go for.
Perfect. Well, we have got some weird and wonderful for you then.
We do. Let's talk Rippers then.
Rippers. So, I'm going to start you off with the best stat on this data sheet. It's OC0.
Yes, that's fun.
Fantastic. Again, just going back to the design space, it's fantastic. They've gone, hey, you can't hold objectives, but they have an aura. Chitinous Horrors. When an enemy unit is within engagement range of this unit, halve the objective control characteristic of models in that enemy unit, which is great. So they can't
take that biologist back down to a 4.5. Fuck him. I like it.
And I don't think there's a rule in the book, but it's going to be fixed day one, guys. It's going to be fixed day one. Don't worry about it. I'm sure it's all going to be fine. I'm assuming that'll round down. So anything with an OC3 going down to OC1 is going to be very spicy because there's not going to be much with OC4 outside of vehicles. I would
No,
assume.
it's definitely a big deal. I mean, I think the only sad thing about their OC is it means they can't be a flipping threat on their own. They're going to have to work with other things. But I guess that's thematic, right?
I
It'd be
think that's
weird if
fine.
Rippers did. Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see them played competitively because of that. But not everything has to be competitive. I think it's just a fun unit that feels thematic on the tabletop. And then, they've got all the stats you'd expect to see. Normal 6-inch move, T2 as a swarm should be. 6-up save, which is better than they deserve. 4 wounds, 8-up leadership, which either they're in synapse and it's fine, or they're not in synapse and it's terrible. They do get to shoot. They get 4 shots with their spine maws.
Oh, spine maws, little pistols. Okay.
Which this is the first thing I think which really follows the 10th edition philosophy of weapons being different for different units. Spine maw pistols used to have the number of attacks as you have on your data sheet. So you'd buy, like back in 5th edition, you buy them and, the ones on your Gaunts to be different to the one on your warriors. You get more attacks with the ones on your warriors, so it felt worthwhile having. But yeah, they've just got smatterings of attacks that hit on 5s. They're probably going to wound on 5s or 6s. They've got 0 AP. They've got 1 damage. They do have sustained hits on their melee weapons, which is kind of cute. Everyone will remember when the Ripper Swarm took down the last wound off the Imperial Knight or something. So nice and thematic there. No grenades on them, unfortunately.
No.
That is, I think we're going to be very disappointed with the amount of grenades.
Yeah, I don't think Nids are going to have the grenade levels we have come to expect.
Which I will say, sidebar, it's a little disappointing that one of the 6 or 8 stratagems that everyone gets access to is just cut off entirely because you don't get grenades as Xenos.
Yeah,
and you don't get smoke screen. It feels
big
a bit
sad. Big sad.
But it's fine. It's fine. Then we have got a big boy.
Hello.
So, I really like this. But before we do, what the fuck is this, Games Workshop? Why is it T9? Fucking Stumpy McShitlegs is T10. This is bullshit. Bullshit. I'm fuming. Absolutely fuming. You'll be getting a strongly worded email in the post. Also, I haven't even seen this. OC3? OC3? This thing, you're trying to tell me that this thing with all of its scything claws, its screamer killer talons, holds an objective worse than a dreadnought with no melee weapons.
Yeah, just legs.
Get out of here.
Legs get what legs want. Those clawed arms have got nothing against legs.
Yeah, Games Workshop designers obviously a big fan of leggy blondes. They saw the Ballista and were like, damn, the legs go all the way up. But what do we got? We have Deadly Demise 1. You explode on a 6 for a single mortal wound. That's
cool.
fine. Synapse. It's a rule. Death Scream. This is... So you thought you had good rules on the Space Marine side with the flamers causing battle shock. Well, in your shooting phase, after this model is shot, select 1 unit hit by 1 or more of these attacks. That unit must take a battle shock test, subtracting 1 from that test. Slightly weirdly worded because you can't split shots from a single weapon, but you're going to shoot the Scream at someone, and then they're going to have to take some battle shock.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, that's nice. Nice for that objective flipping, which and it feels like that's where it's going to be in the heat of the action. That makes a lot of sense.
It's nice to see that the Bioplasmic Scream has kept its really lethal stat line. Like a random number of attacks, it only hits on 4s, but it is Strength 8, AP 2, only 1 damage. But like that's just going to pick up some models that your opponent's like, hold on,
completely.
What do you mean your melee guy is going to just do 8? Anyway. You know what I'm saying. And
Gelmara says it looks like Andy from Little Britain, and I can't unsee it. I can kind of see what you mean, to be honest. I do see that. I do see that in the face and the sort of appearance of hair that the chitin gives. That's good fun.
I don't see it at all. So I'm glad that the 2 of you have seen it. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong. That's possible. It does have a bucket load of attacks in combat.
It really does. 10.
And it's really good quality ones as well.
Yeah, very good.
So 10 attacks, which is great. Hitting on 3s, which is just a solid melee profile.
And you'll wound another Screamer Killer on 3s with its T9.
Oh, fuck off. It's AP2, which is not too bad at this point. Especially now that we're seeing that the stuff that's tough often has a 4-up invuln.
Yeah, and AP2 is looking very common for combat, I think.
Yeah, that feels like the sort of the good benchmark. AP1's kind of
probably is the break point, isn't it? Because it's the big difference between Marines just falling over to anything that hits them and not. Once you're making 5-up saves, stuff is going to stay alive, even if it's got a big thing battering it. So that's appropriate.
Absolutely, yeah. And damage 3. It's got
Damage 3.
thunder hammers. Oh
It's
wait,
got a
no.
bunch of
Fuck you,
thunder
Space
hammers for
Marine
arms.
players, because that's not what they do anymore. It's got better strength and it's got better damage.
Yeah.
But yeah, smugness aside, it's a fantastic model. It's going to be huge. So anyone who's got any old ones might have to rebase theirs if they don't want to buy new models. But it looks good, and there's no options here because it does one thing and it does one thing well. Psychophage. This is the Gribbly boy.
The Venom Crawler. I like it.
Well, yeah, model-wise, and then they wrote rules for it, and I went, hold
They
on,
did.
what? This is not what I thought it would be at all.
No, this is an unusual beast.
It is. So we're going to start off with the good. It's reasonably tough. It's, fast as a Screamer Killer, tough as 1, movement 8, toughness 9, 3-up save, a little bit less on the armor save there. 10 wounds, OC 3. It's not bad. It's
Not at all.
It's fine. It's got a 5-up feel no pain as well, so it's actually going to be
That's chewy. That's nice.
kind of hard to shift. Now monsters can get cover as well. This is something that you can probably keep alive because it does have an aura. When a friendly Tyranid unit is within 6 inches of this model, models in that unit have the Feel No Pain 6+ ability. Which is, I think, the first time we've seen anyone hand out Feel No Pain. I haven't seen it anywhere else, which is quite important for multi-wound models because it really skews the efficiency of certain weapons. So that's quite nice. It also has Feeding Frenzy. Each time this model makes a melee attack that targets a unit below its starting strength, add 1 to hit. And if it's below half strength, add +1 to wound. That's not bad.
That's very nice.
Below starting
good for
strength,
bullying.
Yeah, it's going to be quite easy to give the... especially because I guess it can proc it itself with the Flamer.
Yeah.
Because it has a ranged and a melee profile. The ranged is Ignores Cover and Torrent. 12-inch range, D6. So it's a fairly standard Flamer, but it's strength 6, AP 1, 1 damage. So you're not upset at that. You'll kill a couple of Groot Hounds, and then you'll go in and omnom the rest of them. But here's the bit that I'm not in love with. It has, for its melee attacks, D6 +1 attacks.
Yeah, that is weird.
That's not good.
No.
In fact, I'd go as far to say that's bad. Don't give us random attacks in combat. Not on the cool new model.
Hey, you'll roll a 7 sometimes, Ed.
Yeah, but not all the time. As I like to say, an average. We'll take those. I'm a big fan of the average. The rest of the if you just gave me 5 or 6 attacks in that, I'd be really happy because it's strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage. It's fine. It's nothing exciting. It's got some keywords. Anti-Psycho 2+ because
very funny. Just fuck up. That librarian in the box set's going to get fucking wrecked when he walks into the middle.
With devastating wounds as well. So that turns them into mortal wounds, which ironically then makes the librarian much more defensive because his squad has a 4-up Feel Kit Pain against. That's only against Psychic, and he's not Psychic.
That is true.
So no, you are absolutely going to rip that librarian apart.
The librarian's just going to get done because I think if you assume the captain's going to go with the termies when you play the box set, the librarian's just stuck wandering around on his own, and this thing is going to hunt him down on a flank. Yeah. That's how that's going to go every time, I predict.
So this to me feels like a real case of split identity.
Yeah, what is it? They don't know what it is, do they? They don't really know what it is. They knew they had the Venom Crawler mold and they wanted to do something with it, but they didn't have a plan beyond that.
And it kind of has that Venom Crawler buffing aspect.
Yeah, it really is.
In 9th edition, give +1 a hit, I think, isn't it? Or something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, the Feel No Pain Aura for Nids is nice, right? That's very nice.
If it's cheap, I think you'll see one because of the
I reckon. Yeah, I think so, yeah.
But then I also think you're going to get into combat and you're going to be really sad when you roll a 2.
Yeah, it feels like, I guess that's kind of why it's got that, gets a bit better when it's bullying an injured unit, because it feels like this is the supporting buddy, isn't it? This is going to go in with something else and it's going to be there as well.
Yeah.
But it's probably not going to get to fight first because something actually genuinely dangerous is going to get that honor, and then he's just going to be a bit better once it's been hurt a bit.
Yeah. But cool model. And
yeah, definitely.
Maybe when 11th rolls around, it'll get some good rolls.
Maybe. Great Devourer keyword's interesting. Is that what they have for Nids now? I wonder. I hope GSC have it. Maybe there'll be some GSC Tyranids overlap maybe one day. Who knows? I guess we'll see.
Who knows? Yeah, I haven't actually seen any rules for allies.
No, neither have I.
Other than Vota? No, demons.
Oh yeah. Demons had some displays.
I was very not sure it was Votan.
I
and then
don't think they're
remember it wasn't.
trying to get us to buy Votan and put in our marine armies anymore. I think they've stopped.
Shame. I did really want to run that sisters list, which is 100 points of sisters and then 1600 points of Votan. But anyway, that's a dead game now.
Yes.
Barb Gaunts. These are,
my.
I think, the most exciting.
They are.
In the box. They won't kill anything. But maybe
that's not what they're for.
Live.
Yeah. Death Guard players, look away.
Let's not fuck about. Disruption bombardment. In your shooting phase, after this unit is shot, if an enemy infantry unit was hit by one or more of the attacks made by this unit's biocannons, until the end of your opponent's next turn, that enemy's unit is disrupted. While disrupted, subtract 2 from its move characteristic, 2 from its advance and charge rolls. So if you're advancing, you're -4.
You're fucked.
Yeah. Like, if you... Even if you're a normal Terminator, you move 5 inches. Hold on. If you roll a 1 on the advance... No, it doesn't go to -1, surely. Wait, does it?
That would be funny.
I actually don't think there's anything stopping it from...
I'm going to go to Death Guard Reddit and I'm going to say that it does, and I'm going to see how that goes.
If you're playing Death Guard Terminators with your 4-inch move, you roll a 1 at the advance.
You go backwards.
Would be moving... No, you'd move 0 inches. No, that's not true. You'd move... No, you would move 0 inches.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Sad times.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a meta-defining thing. Right? Like, this is crazy to have an army that has the ability to do that, because like slow-moving foot infantry just can't be doing with these. Like, literally can't be doing with these at all.
Tom, what are you talking about? It's not ridiculous at all. One unit can only debuff one enemy unit, surely.
My understanding, Ed, is that you can debuff multiple enemy units with this squad.
Oh shit!
What?
That's really good.
Yeah.
So you're trying to say that you don't have to bring multiple squads to debuff your entire opponent's
Sounds
army?
like you would just need the one to do an absolute number on an entire enemy force. I mean, they're going to have to get into range, so it's 24-inch range, so there is maybe a bit of an issue.
That's the gap between deployments.
It is, and so if they're not in range, then they're not anywhere near the objectives, and if they're slow, then they're already fucked anyway, aren't they?
The mission pack we've seen does show that it's, everyone wants to brawl over the central objectives. So
yeah.
It's going to
be... It kind of makes me wonder, and we can ponder on the design philosophy, but I wonder if in their heads, looking at all the rules we've got for deep striking stuff looking at all the stuff they're trying to do with transports, I wonder if they're just not keen on us just having a bunch of foot lads on the board at the start, and if they kind of want... Because this is infantry, right? So if you were mounted up, no issue, you're fine.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they're trying to sort of nudge us away from big foot-slogging hordes, which I guess are quite a few ninth lists were, towards transports, deep striking. It's interesting that it still disrupts flying units, so even your jetpack guys are going to be fucked by this as well, which is great.
Oh, that's true. I guess we better tell you the rest of the data sheet. It's a T4 Gaunt. That's quite cool. It's got 2 wounds. So these are Primaris Gaunts, basically.
Primaris Gaunts, yeah.
Yeah, they've been lifting. They got swole.
The hive mind took one look and was like, I'm getting one.
He is. I see your unit there. They saw the Desolation.
We have Desolation Marines at home.
Desolation Marines at home. I think I might prefer these because
I like
any
these
unit
as well.
can kill things.
Yeah.
So they've got they're only ballistic skill 4, but if you do get this chance to stand still and shoot, which you won't because your opponent will shoot you immediately if you're visible, you will get +1 to hit. Each one 24-inch range, D6 shots, hitting on 4s, strength 5, AP 0, 1 damage.
Yeah.
I like that D6 shots and the 4 up to hit because that means you cannot be greedy and go, I'm putting 1 here, 1 here, 1 here.
Yeah. You're probably going to be able to tag like 2 or 3 units at
You've
best,
got to put
aren't you?
2
Reliably.
models in to feel like you're guaranteeing it, and then you're going to be really sad when the dice go slightly against you.
I do look forward to the mid player that tries to tag like 5 things and misses all his shots and is very sad.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can't wait.
And then look at that sad melee profile. 1 attack at strength 4, 0, 1 damage.
These are literally just here for the slowing stuff down. I mean, you might every now and again bop an elf on the head, but that is about it. You are not doing much else.
Yeah, if you play into like a horde foot-slugging army, which again we've just said might not be the design philosophy of this edition, but they'll do all right. They've got a lot of shots, strength 5. If your armor's low, then you don't really care about the AP being 0. Yeah, maybe there's some use for it.
One
But
interesting thing with this data sheet, Ed, I was under the understanding that these things were artillery, were they not? And I don't see indirect on there.
no, I don't think they had that on initially.
Oh,
They just
interesting.
look like they should
They
be.
just look like they are. That's
Yeah.
fine. In my head, I thought they were, but that's fine.
God, can you
That makes
imagine?
it feel a bit better because at least they're going to have to step out and see things that they're
So
slowing down.
even though you can tag multiple units with one squad, I think you still bring multiple units if you want to go down that path because
Yeah.
each unit gets to fire once and then it dies. That's the so if you want to make your Death Guard opponent when you list Taylor really sad, take 3 squads of 3 of these.
Yeah,
Or
exactly that.
3 squads of 4, we'll say, and then you can just like stop
Completely.
the Terminators from moving for 3
Yeah.
turns. Oh, good times.
This edition
had
is
by
all about kicking Death Guard players in the nuts. So
I
go,
mean,
go
from-
and live that dream.
From what they've been saying online, I think they might enjoy it, the masochists. Termagants. They
Yay!
have had a model go up,
They really have.
and the rest of the rules are fine.
Yeah.
They're just, they're OC2, which is really nice, actually. So that's the, like, kind of OBSEC equivalent.
Yeah, when you think about how many you can pump out, that's quite a big deal.
Oh, yeah. They, otherwise, fairly standard T6, T3, sorry, move 6, T3, 5 up save, 1 wound, 8 up leadership. What they do have, which is very nice, is they've got the lieutenant's rule, but worse. Once per turn, when the enemy unit ends within 9 inches, if you're not within engagement range, you can make a normal move of D6, which is quite nice because if your opponent messes up by getting close to you, you can use that to get onto an objective. If they move a shooting unit near you and you go, "Oh, lovely, thank you. Now I'm on the objective that you were trying to get towards." I think that's going to be quite fun. You can obviously move away from a unit that's trying to charge you, make that 7-inch charge into potentially like an 11.
Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah, if you roll like I do with Tanglefoot, it turns it into an 8 because you only roll one on the dice.
Yeah. If you think about the kind of role a Termagant's going to play, right, they're often going to be screening and dying on the line for your mates. And so you've now got that lovely option of, if something's not quite closed on you enough, you can move away. If something's got in real close, you can move up and cover the space, stop them getting into anything more exciting. You could even use the normal move to just rearrange the unit, make sure there's nowhere for something to fly over and land and bop something more important. So it's an incredibly flexible rule.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the ranged weapons. I feel like they've almost got it. I don't think they've quite got it because you want there to be a reason to take all 3, and it doesn't really feel like there's a reason to take all 3. There's a
No.
reason to take 2. So you've got your Termagant Devourer, which I think is going to be the standard gun. 18-inch range, 2 shots, strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage. You're hitting on 4s for all of them. That's just the standard weight of fire, little crappy shots. Then you've got the Spine Fists, which are quite fun. They're assault and pistol, so you can fire them on the move. You can shoot them into combat. They're twin-linked, so the fact that they're strength 3 and you're wounding most things on 5s or 6s matters less because you're re-rolling. So that's quite fun. You've still got 2 shots there. And then you've got the Flesh Borer, which is 1 shot, strength 5, still 18 inches, and it's got assault. I think it needed something else to be compelling. Like, just having 1 extra, being able to shoot 1 shot after you advance is kind of. I feel like maybe if it had. I don't want to give it devastating wounds. I feel like that Band-Aid of 10th edition at the start.
Already, yeah.
But like, it feels like it needs something. Maybe if it got, you don't really want to give it sustained hits because that's the Tyranid army rule. You can pick from. It feels like maybe if you slapped a better keyword than assault on, or a more fitting keyword, I would have been really happy to see that. But as it is, I think there's reasons to take either Devour or Spine.
Anti-flesh 2 up would have been fun.
Oh, anti-infantry 2 up. Yeah, that would be good. Like, leave it as strength 4 and anti-infantry 2 up. And then
Because it is a flesh borer. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. That would have been interesting.
That would have been fun.
Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, I think you take this for the fun shenanigans with the movement, and because as we saw, it's got endless multitude, which we know combos well with other things. That's really what these are about: gumming up objectives, getting in the way, and the chip fire is nice to have. But so I think that's going to be where they'll sit, and it's just going to be about what their sort of price point is. I guess
can't wait to
the
see the
Tervagan always
one.
interacts with these.
Yeah.
That'll always be a big sort of point of contention because if
Well,
there's good synergy there, then they make sense.
it's going to get the leader keyword, isn't it? And it's going to lead a squad of
Oh,
termagants.
get out, will it? That'd be silly.
And
That'd be
then
nuts.
and then someone's just going to put 1,000,000 shots into your squad, which is just one Termagant and one Tervigon, and they're making loads of attacks against the T3. then you get really sad because you've got to take 6 times as much damage as you normally would.
Yeah, that seems like a logical direction for them to head in.
Yeah, yeah. And yep, just got your options there. Again, not seeing those grenades. Very disappointing.
Yeah, what a waste.
But the coolest model in the set, in my opinion, Eurotyrant.
This
can
thing's so
join
cool.
Neurogaunts or Tyrant Guard, which Tyrant Guard might be a safe option for it, but it feels a bit of a weird one given some of the abilities. So we'll start off with Node Lash. While this model is leading a unit, each time that a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to hit. If the target is battle shocked, add 1 to wound as well. That's very cool.
That is super good.
But I don't want that on Tyrant Guards or Neurogaunts.
No.
I don't care about it.
Neurogaunts look like they're hot trash, right?
Yeah.
I know. We haven't done the data sheet yet. I don't want to give anything away, but
Neurogaunts, you got fuck all. You got a shit stat line. You've got 1 attack that's strength 3. You extend synapse. That's your roll. You've got no options. No, you've got 2 node beasts. What do node beasts do? Nothing.
nothing.
They do literally nothing. They don't have extra wounds on here. They don't have extra cool rules.
And honestly, you look at it, and it's like, honestly, the hive mind was like, I need something. I need to do something with like a bunch of candle wax I've got left over.
This is what happens when you realize there's a report due the next day.
Yeah, exactly
at like
that.
11 p.m. and you're like, oh, Neurogaunts, they extend the synapse. I'm a genius. And it gets marked. You're like, F, see me after class.
Yeah,
so,
they do
yeah.
look rubbish. Apparently, Gilmara says they buff his shooting attack. So I guess if we have a look at, they go back to Neurotyrant and see if there's a substantive gain there. But certainly the models look a bit rubbish to me. They're the only bit they're probably the only unit in that whole box set that I just think looks rubbish.
Oh god, yeah. So that buff only procs when he's in a squad. So the buff that he gives to the unit obviously buffs himself, but if he's not leading a unit, he just doesn't get the buff. Which is
okay, so he'd want to be with. I guess even if it's just Tyrant Guard, he'd want to be with something.
I find big floaty bugs way more scary when they have 3 small bugs at their feet. That's the thing that really tips me
The funny
over the
thing is,
edge.
he's already got 2 little floaty boaty bodyguards. He doesn't need more. But there we are.
They're not actually models; they're just tokens.
Are they tokens? Oh, that's fun.
They're the coolest looking tokens you've ever
They're
seen.
really
That's
cool.
not a better picture there. But yeah, so I guess we'll go back to the rules. Now that we've just got ahead.
just absolutely bash them.
Yeah,
At least we don't need to do them at the end now. It would have been such a sad end to the NIDS
it
rules.
would have been, wouldn't
Yeah.
So let's just go through the toughness. This is such a weird one. So it has a 4-up invuln, which is good. But it's movement 6, T8, so quite squishy. 4-up save, 4-up invuln, so you're never going to use that really, apart from, I guess, cover. 9 wounds, so not a lot. Leadership 7, which is fine, and OC 3, but this doesn't feel like it's got the staying power to live on a point. So that is interesting. Back to the rules. If you've got 1 or more Neurotyrant on the battlefield when you use your Shadow in the Warp, your army rule, subtract 1 from the battle shock test for each enemy unit. That's good.
That is good.
I don't know if you take it just for that, because this looks to me like it's going to be 150 to 180 points, just on the size of the model and the amount of rules on there. I don't know that that's going to be worth taking just for that. And it's then also, you can pick some models that are always in Synapse range, which is fine.
Is that what the tokens are for? You boot them next to the things inside. That's cool. I like that.
It is. It's great. I really like that. But I don't know if I love it on that, because it's going to melt.
He is going to melt. He is going to get shot hard. I mean, I guess Tyrant Guard presumably would soak up some of the damage, but he's vulnerable, isn't he?
And then he's not really benefiting the Tyrant Guard much, and they're really just been taking as a bodyguard. Do you want to spend more points on that? It feels like a big commitment. But maybe if he's pointed low enough, you take one.
Yeah, I think that'll be the killer thing, right? If he's cheap, he's quite interesting, and that Battle Shock big turn for NIDS feels like it's something they're really pushing. So if you can make that as effective as you possibly can,
he might literally just be the unit that you sit on your home objective. Like maybe that's his role.
Yeah, just
which
screen out the back and then
yeah,
make everyone scared.
yeah. His weapons are pretty okay. His melee's terrible. You know, he's
Yeah,
got
that flame is good, man. That's ignore
the
cover
flamer
AP1
is
damage
good.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a shame it's got the psychic keyword because the librarian and his terminators are going to be getting a feel no pain against it. But
That is
apart
a
from that,
shame. Yeah, that is a
yeah,
shame. I know
it's
the
quite nice.
Psychophage will have already killed the Terminator Librarian, so it's not going to matter in this one-off showdown between these two books.
In this rock
If
paper
the
scissors.
Psychophage can just make it past all those Marine guns to eat the Librarian in combat, then I think the Nids have got a game here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that tracks. That makes sense to me. So yeah, we've talked about the keywords and the stuff there that matters. Von
Yeah.
Ryan's Leapers.
This is my favourite unit in the Nids half, I think.
It's maybe my favorite model.
Mm.
There's one thing on the data sheet that really just disappoints me, and everything else is amazing, but they're damage one.
They are damage one, yeah.
And like it's so hard to say if that's going to be good because we don't know what the meta's going to be. It's going to be elves, so maybe damage one's actually going to. Maybe damage.
There will be some elves, I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah, but like if we'll see a lot of Space Marines because it's the start of an edition. Space Marines.
Yeah,
as always, are in the
they got nothing into Marines here.
No, like it's 6 attacks, so you could think of it as like 5 attacks, but then it's saving on 4. Sorry, like 3 attacks because each you have to get 2 through, but then they're going to get 4 up armor saves or 3 ups if they're Terminators. But everything else is really cool about them. Good stat line: 10-inch move, T5, 4 up save, 3 wounds, OC1, which is just fairly standard. They have a 6 up invuln, which is odd. I don't really know why. I guess we're going back to sort of like the Eldar-esque lightning reflexes that just give you an invuln for being fast, which is pretty cool. Their datasheet abilities are fantastic. They've got fight first, which is
fight first is really nice.
The second, I think, on my early reflections, the second most broken rule in the books.
People are going to absolutely love fighting second in their charge phase. They're going to be big
Dev
fans
wounds, fights first. Those are the two. It's got infiltrators, so you can put them where you want to, which is nice. And you can put them behind, if, for example, we have staging ruins, you can put them behind a staging ruin and not feel bad about it because you've got a 10-inch move, so you can kind of get where you want to be. They have stealth, so -1 to hit, which is just snazzy. And then they've got Pouncing Leap. You can target them for the heroic intervention strat for 0 CP, and can do that even if you've already used that stratagem on a different unit this phase.
That's fun. That is fun. Swissie's just called them the Dimitar Berbatov of Nids, and I kind of get that. Yeah, I like that. I think that makes sense.
I don't.
He was a very languid striker who sort of basically walked around the pitch. So they're not going to do it when the going gets tough, but they'll be quite fun when they're running over rubbish stuff. I feel like they're quite well placed to take on other infiltrators, right? If you assume that most other infiltrating units are quite light, they'll get the jump on those, and they make the mid-board tussle early doors a bit scary because they could be hiding somewhere, intervening in, fighting first, etc. You don't want your rangers out there getting ate by Von Ryan's Leapers, but they're limited in their application, I think.
The thing for me that will make or break them, if I'll be excited about them, is, and I know this is going to sound so weird, can a Lictor lead them? And I know
that's interesting. Yeah,
typically solo units, but
that would be fun, though, wouldn't
it? It's a new unit. If you could put a Lictor in there, and the Lictor gives them,
that would actually be huge. If you got a Lictor in there with like a Marine killing profile, suddenly, that's a big deal, right? Yeah, that's interesting.
And if it gave them, I don't know, let's say +1 to hit, or something else. I'm running out of buffs that I'd want to give them because obviously Nids have an army rule, which gives them, you pick either lethal hits or so you don't want to put that on the data sheet. So, whereas normally I'd say, if the Lictor gave them sustained hits or something, that would be cool. But you can pick that as your army rule anyway, so you don't really want to go for that. But yeah, I'm not expecting them to be good, but I am hopeful.
I like the look of them, and so I'd like them to be good, but we'll see.
Of course, if they're cheap as chips, we'll just see them everywhere. They'll be the
That's it. Yeah, I was going to say if they're cheap, and a cheap infiltrating unit with fight first is quite fun, but we will see.
Absolutely, and 3 to 6 models, which is just nice for something that forward deploys. You don't have to put too many points into like a squad of 5.
No, exactly.
And then we can skip the Neurogon because we did it. And even if we hadn't, we could skip it anyway because it's so disappointing. I think this is our last one. Yep, so very quickly, last one. This guy's cool, and I saw this and I got really excited for
He's a
Shrikes to come
very cool
back.
model, isn't he?
And I really hope that they bring back Shrikes, Mush Money Penny, because that, for anyone who doesn't remember, Shrikes were warriors with wings, basically. That was just a good thing.
That's a
So
super cool idea. Yeah.
yeah, so right now he can join gargoyles, Tyranid warriors with melee bioweapons, and Tyranid warriors with ranged bioweapons,
Interesting.
which is odd because I don't know if you've seen a warrior. Let me just. Oh, it's too far over. Never mind. It wouldn't have shown up on my camera anyway. They've got 4 arms, and they typically hold a gun and a sword and a lash whip or scything talons. It's been a while since I've seen anyone put double melee weapons on a warrior. So I'm quite keen to see how that's going to be different.
Yeah, it's interesting that maybe they're parceling up the options a bit.
Now that there's no real benefit for having 2 sets of weapons, in that you don't. Well, I guess you've got the flexibility, but I wonder if they'll just go with like, oh, the melee ones get an extra attack on all their weapons.
Yeah.
So
Might
or
make
better
sense.
like weapon skill, or maybe they've got ballistic skill 4 but weapon skill 3, and vice versa. Maybe that's how they do it.
Anything that helps them find an appropriate price point for Tyranid Warriors gets my vote.
Because they've been so good at it. So he's kind of a bit of a misfit in this box, but I think even putting him in normal foot warriors is going to be good. He's going to extend your charge range pretty well.
Yep.
You can sit him in the middle of the squad and then move him and then string back. So he's got movement 12, and he does fly, and he is infantry, so he can move through walls. None of that pesky going up and over.
That's nice.
T5, 4 save, 6 wounds, leadership 7, OC1. So pretty much what you'd expect to see from the body. He's not bad in combat. AP1's a bit sad, but he's got 6 attacks, they help him 2s, strength 6, AP1, 2 damage. It's fine. It's not quite the Marine Mulcher I wanted. If it was 6/2/2, I'd be quite excited about that. But AP1, any port in a storm.
He's not bullying. Ironically, he's not bullying Terminators, and I believe it was a Terminator that he killed in the intro video. But
That's true.
Terminator needed to fail a slew of 3-up saves for that to happen, and it doesn't feel mathematically likely based on what they're showing us here.
Well, maybe he was already wounded, and he only needed to.
He's just got in there at the end. Yeah.
Then it's not too bad. But he's got Deep Strike, which is nice. He's a leader. Obviously, we've said what he's going to be in. He has Shadow in the Warp, so he's going to be providing that buff for your units. And he gives a unit sustained hits 1 when he joins them.
That is nice.
Yeah. Obviously, again, it's going to feel a bit weird if you've got him leading a squad of warriors and then you pick the sustained hits 1 against infantry. That's going to be.
You've got to say, he feels a bit weird in any of those squads you could put him in. Gargoyles would be a very anemic unit for someone this baller to be hanging out with, and then the warriors are on foot, so it just feels a bit like he hasn't really got a home yet. So maybe the winged things need to come back.
I think that I don't know, but I feel like we're going to see Shrikes, and that's why he's come back. And it's one of the
it would make
reveals that they haven't
sense,
done
wouldn't
yet.
it? Yeah,
because these are very specifically the data sheets for. Just
exactly that. I think that would be a very cool unit for Nids to get, and I'd be all over that.
He also has Death Blow. If he's destroyed in melee on a 4-up, don't remove him, and then after you've finished the squad that killed him has finished their attacks, he gets to make his attacks and then is removed from play.
Fight on death. 4-up
Always
fight on
good.
death. So that's nice.
It'd be better if it was just there, but I guess
it would be Creations of Bile. It was just
say,
there, and we don't ever want to live in that land ever again. So let's not do it.
The funny thing is, because I didn't play melee armies at that point, I was just like, this is fine. I don't care.
It was utterly maddening because it's like I could do 8 different things and I would lose at the end of each of them. Doesn't matter. There's no way. There's no way at all.
That is brutal. But yeah, that is all of the Tyranids there. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I like that suite of things. I think it feels like there's more of a picture to complete for Nids, doesn't it? To really understand where they're at in terms of their strength and capacity. I think we're starting to get a pretty good feel for what Marines are going to do, and I think they're going to do it really well. With Tyranids, I don't think we have enough of the picture to know exactly where they sit yet. We need to see more big monsters. We need to see where some of their classic utility characters and things fit in. But there's some cool stuff here. There's certainly some promising stuff here. But other than the Screamer Killer, cutting edge is definitely lacking, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it'll be interesting to see the extra models that are obviously missing in the to fill the gaps.
Yeah.
See the extra army rules that are going to be coming soon with the Tyranid book. But cool models, even if some of the rules
beautiful.
are
Absolutely beautiful set of models.
Yeah. Lovely. Well, thank you for dropping in. We're going to keep it short and sweet.
Yeah,
There'll be
thanks,
another one of
everybody.
these coming later in the week. We don't know when they're coming, but let's say maybe a couple of days' time. Let's call it Thursday. We'll benchmark
When
that.
things arrive, we'll be there.
Yeah. It's
One way or
7
the other.
o'clock. Fantastic.
It's very
Thanks for
exciting.
watching.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.